I'll tell you about my menopause ideas and things in a minute, but I did not know that cold spells could be part of it. Like, just
Mhm.
like you have hot flashes, women have cold flashes, okay?
Yeah.
So I was living in Florida at the time, in past year, Florida, okay?
Yeah.
And would have shivering, could not get warm, shivering, like
Wow.
the teeth chattering, cold spells, and could not. And this would last for a little while.
Yeah.
I would try to take hot baths. I would try to walk out and stand in the sun. I would I'm talking about in layers, in a sweatshirt and sweatpants and a house coat standing out in the sun. In, okay. But that was something I did not know. I did not know that you could have
Yeah.
cold spells, like
Huh.
just, well, cold flashes, just like hot flashes.
So I don't think I realized that either. But now that you're saying that, I can think of some times, maybe not to the level you're talking about, but times where I'm like, I should not be this cold. So that's interesting though. But yeah, your body temperature just does all kinds of things. And I've not had the hot flashes where, the stereotypical, like I had to like peel clothes, soaking wet. I was sweating. I've not had those hot flashes. I hope I don't. Ugh. But it's just when I go to bed at night, normally like I said, I have all the blankets and stuff. I don't like to sleep with the fan on. And now I could almost most nights just sleep with a very thin sheet and a fan on. And my body temperature is just so much higher. So it's just, and you don't think about those things. Like you were saying, you don't think about those things being impacted. And you go to a doctor and they're like, you're really too young for this. And I literally went into the doctor and I said, listen, I know you're going to tell me I'm too young, but every woman on my mom's side of the family has gone through menopause early, either naturally or otherwise. I said, so I think that this is why I'm going through perimenopause, and here's my symptoms. I was like, I'm so irritable, I can't stand myself some days. I am so hot at night, it's ridiculous. My joints, I can barely move when I get out of bed in the morning. If I sit down for longer than 5 minutes, it hurts to get back up. Plantar fasciitis was something that I found out because the increased inflammation in your body, which is what makes your joints hurt. That's also been a factor in my life. I'm dealing with it right now, a little flare up of it. So yeah, it was, and then the weight gain and everything. And I was just like, I can't live like this. And so I did HRT mainly because I just needed more immediate relief. I know that there's far more natural ways to kind of manage all of it and everything. That's what my mom told me. She was like, I didn't do any HRT or anything like that. You should just, because back in the day, I think when there were studies out that said that HRT could increase your costs, or I'm sorry, increase your bone loss and certain cancers and things like that. But some of the newer research, because I think we're finding out more about how perimenopause and menopause actually affects us, show that it actually helps keep you from having that type of stuff. Now, whether or not that's all true, I don't know. These medical studies,
Yeah. I
they're
couldn't
good.
find anything to support anything. This,
Exactly. Yeah, you really can. In medical studies, they'll do a medical study on 10 people and say, look what this cured. Really, on those 10 people that had perfect diets and perfect fitness. But yeah, so for me, that was the right choice. I know it's not the right choice for everybody. And I may even, as I progress through this journey, there may be things that I'd change about it. That's one of the benefits of the 75 part is just the workouts have been really helpful. My diet has been the more focused on the whole foods and things like that. I do the calories, but I do also track the macros as well. So and listen, there's a million things out there that will tell you this is what you need to do, the supplements and all this other stuff. And if it works for you, that's great. If it doesn't, take what you need and leave the rest, right? So,
that's the thing. I think we're so inundated with information this day and time. It just comes at us, right?
yes.
Social media, we have medical journals and studies that we can dig in and read. It is in our face all the time.
Yeah.
And I think we are just so busy that we've stopped paying attention to ourselves. We've stopped paying attention to our bodies. We've stopped actually knowing what would be good for us and what wouldn't be good for us because we're so distracted with everything else in life. That's my opinion on the matter, right? And I can tell you that because I got to that place.
Yeah.
I We were traveling, we were eating out all the time. We were on the road full time, eating out all the time. We had a house in Florida on the water, living the life, all the thing. Life caught up with me, and I'm healing from trauma and other things. Life caught up with me, right? And so when and I keep going back to the 75 hard, and this isn't a freaking 75 hard talk or whatever, but that's where we're at right now. And that's what put me over the edge to start paying attention to my body again. My life will forever be a 75 hard momentum for the most part, if that makes sense. I will
Mhm.
always be in this mode of things because I know where I was and I know where I am now, and I'm in the best shape of my life. I feel the best in my life. I can tell that my hormones have shifted based
Mm.
on what I've been doing because of how I feel and how things are going. And this is just an encouragement to you if you're listening, if you're trying to figure out what's going on with your body or anything else, you have to take time to pay attention to it.
Yeah.
And I think you
Well,
could agree, Carrie, even you not knowing, oh, I've got this ridiculous anxiety. I can't stand to hear my kids chew their food. I can like whatever it is, right? Pay attention. Don't
yeah.
slough it off and say, and I don't know what the fix is for you personally. I don't know if you need meds or hormone replacement therapy or surgery or anything else, right? But what I know is that none of us pay enough attention to our bodies to
Yeah.
actually even think about what we want or
Yeah.
need for optimal health and longevity for our lives.
Okay.
I had, I was the biggest I had been outside of pregnancy. I was completely complacent with everything that I was eating. I was not, I have young kids and I try to be active, but being active would wear me out too at the same time.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
picking them up, I had lost muscle mass. Picking them up was wearing me out, like all the things, right? And I have autoimmune issues, so I know I'm supposed to take care of my body, whatever, right? But it's not, that wasn't, it just wasn't on my radar. It had gotten away from me because I was doing life with everything else, if that makes sense.
Yeah. I think it is very important that all women, number one, you advocate for yourself. If something doesn't feel right, or if you dig in and you find things that, because like for me, like I said, the HRT was a good avenue because I have felt really good on it. Now, whether it's something I'll do long term, I don't know. And in another year or so, I might be like, you know what, this just doesn't feel right. What I do know is that the doctors didn't, they're testing your hormones because you'll go in and they'll say, we'll test your hormones. But if you're taking a birth control, because I do take birth control as well, if you take birth control of any sort, it's going to mess with those hormones. If you're off balance in any little way, that I think we've talked about this before, if they'll give you a range, but are those optimal ranges? Because they won't start treatment until you fall outside of what they deem normal ranges, right? Well, it's important to advocate for yourself in that fashion. And it's important to not just take everything at its face where I think every woman can take away and value a good diet or a better diet and working out or some sort of exercise, even if it's just walking. I love walking. So that's what I've been doing mostly on my 75 hard challenge. But I also know that I need to do strength training, but that's a whole other thing. So for me, walking it's meditative, it's relaxing, it's stress reducing. So for me, I love to do that. Or walking or hiking, whatever you want to call it. But so that's always probably going to be, it's funny because I was talking to my sister-in-law. She was like, I don't think you're ever going to stop the 75 hard challenge. And I was like, there's definitely things that are going to stick around. So,
100%. 100%.
yes. But that's just because now I'm on day 40 and how I feel, I'm much more motivated. In the last 40 days, I've probably been more motivated and more geared up and hyped about things than I have in the previous year. And it's interesting because going through hard seasons in the middle of 75 hard challenge, it does teach you that mental toughness, which is exactly what it's supposed to. Of, yeah, this sucks over here, but you still got to do these 5 things.
On those days when you're like, I just really want to pull the covers over my head
Yes.
and just like
Yes.
be by myself for a minute. It's like,
Yes. And it's like, no,
no,
I got to get up. I got to get my first block in. But yeah, menopause, it helped make, for me, honestly, just being able to go into a doctor's office. Because when I did get prescribed the estrogen patches, I go into the doctor's office and they're like, and I'm like, okay, let me tell you. Like this,
I'm gonna be telling you how this is going.
yeah, exactly. And they did prescribe it and everything. But for me to have, yeah, and it was almost validation. Hate to say that, but it was almost validation of, yeah, you're not going crazy. You're not losing your mind. You're not whatever. Because, like I said, I thought I had dementia and my bones were breaking. It- thought I was going through it, girls. But that was, for me, that was validation. And now I can look at it and, like I said, take what I need and leave the rest of it. I'm not going to be one of these women that are all gung ho on, oh, you've got to do this and this. It's just too much. And you get overwhelmed with it. But yeah, take what you need.
So I'm of the mindset too that I don't think we consider enough the fact in aging or anything, like women are on birth control pills, women are on antidepressants, women are on antibiotics, women are on whatever. I think all of that mess with your body so much, and we don't give cadence to that at all. And,
Yeah.
like, why are we not considering all these other things that affect, because that's what birth control does, right? Like,
Yeah,
it's your it
absolutely.
messes with your hormones. And I couldn't take birth control pills. I took birth control pills when I was first married, and I was so I took them when I was younger too, and anyway, that's a whole other story, but when I was first married, and I would stand in the bathroom mirror, and I would cuss myself out. Like, that's how jacked up I was because my hormones were so off and my anxiety was so high because of the hormones. And so
Yeah.
I went off of them and I have never touched them again since
That's
because
great.
they said it was probably the hormone dose in the birth control. And I was like, all right, screw that. Figure
Yeah.
something out. I don't know. Of course, at that point in my life, wouldn't have been a big deal to actually
Right.
get there, anything like that. Prior to that, not so much. But my so here's what I will say. I think that I started having perimenopause symptoms, that it was the weight gain, it was the anxiety, it was the being overly tired, having to think for words. So I had all that too. The freaking cold spells. Holy cow, that blew my mind. But I have gotten, since I started paying attention, and I'll tell you my 75 hard journeys. It probably looks different than a lot of people's. And again, not an advocacy program for 75 hard, although you should probably try it. But I started out my first 30 days. So I grind my own flour and bake my own bread. And so my first 30 days, I was going to fast with just bread, just my bread. That was my plan. That was what I was going to do. And I ended up actually fasting completely for 7 days. That's how I started pulling that part. And that was not intentional. It just happened. And after the second day, I was like, all right, let's just stick with this and see what happens. And I thought that I would stick with it until date night because that was the deal. I was going to eat my bread and I was going to eat on date nights because my husband and I have a date night every single week, non negotiable. And so I was going to eat on date night with him to be honoring in that. Right. And I was just going to focus on a high protein meal at date night and no white flour. I haven't had white flour in a very long time. But anyway, so I fasted for the first 7 days and I felt the best I had felt in my entire life. I told Joseph, I don't ever want to eat again. Now, I didn't want to say I don't want to eat again, but that's where I was. I didn't ever want to eat again. I felt so freaking good. Like it was
Wow.
amazing. Now I've done fast and things like that before, but I had never focused on drinking a gallon of water a day with it. And I think
Right.
difference, right? I've fasted for spiritual reasons and other things like that before, but I never focused on drinking a gallon of water a day in with
Mm.
that fast. And I was like, mind blown, right? And so after that 7 days, I ate, and then I would only eat on date nights with my husband, or sorry, Sabbath meals were also when I would eat because we do Sabbath celebrations. Our family, we have a day set aside that we have Sabbath, and so I would eat Sabbath meals with my family. And that was also to be honoring to my husband because he loves to cook, and he missed a calling. He legit missed a calling. Carrie did too, but Carrie's a great chef, but missed a calling to be a chef. And so I picked back up my 30 days and just ate my bread and ate on date nights and Sabbath. And then and in that time frame, I was only doing stretching and walking. I was not doing weights or anything like that. So I had lost a little bit of weight. I had not lost a significant amount of weight yet. So I was walking and stretching. That was all that I was doing. Then after that 30 days, I flipped to doing weights. And I'm not even talking full weight training, right? I'm just doing
Right.
dumbbells and things like that. I flipped to weights and I flipped to counting my macros with high protein, good fats, and good carbs. Now, I consider my bread good carbs, just so we're clear. Okay. My bread is,
Imagine it would be a good card too. Give me some.
you don't have to go over here and get some.
I
Um,
know.
anyway, when you, we'll have to do a whole nother episode on that, but when you have the bran and the germ and everything all together, the bread is much different than the red and the white flour that you have for other things. Okay. So, anyway, and I'm not talking about I don't sit down and eat a loaf. Okay. I could,
Yeah.
eat a loaf either. Right. But anyway, so I started counting my macros. Didn't even worry about calories. I just counted, did not look at how many calories I got in a day, really. Okay. Most of the time, when I did look at calories, I was short on what I should be. And I couldn't eat another bite if you tried to get me to. Okay.
Yeah.
But, and if anybody wants to see the progression of my pictures, I will share. I don't share that publicly. I'm a modest person for the most part, right? So I don't share those kind of pictures publicly. But maybe we can do a group chat or something. I don't know. Figure out a way if y'all want to see that. But I started losing, as in thinning down, building muscle. It's a joke that I haven't had muscle in my legs for years. Okay. And I started like my shape started changing drastically differently. And I
Yeah.
felt better and better, more and more clear headed. And the only change that I made was I went to high protein, good fats, good carbs, and weight training.
Wow.
I made more of a difference, in my opinion, with 2 weeks of that than I made in an entire month of a fast.
Wow.
And to add
Crazy.
to that, I've had one episode of the Elsa moments, right? One episode of that in this whole time.
They say that for women, when you start to drop weight, it impacts your hormones. It will change your hormonal makeup when you drop weight. That's why a lot of women that do gastric bypass and things like that, where they're dropping a lot of weight at once, they'll have a whole big old issue of hormones and stuff after the fact. And it's crazy to think how it's crazy, but not crazy. It's divine design, right? That everything intertwines with everything else.
Yes.
And it's nuts that you had so much progress in such a short amount of time because we do tend, or at least I tend, I shouldn't say we, I, me, myself, and I think that it takes so much longer to see that progress, to see that improvement. But to your point, in 2 weeks, you saw so much improvement. But I think it's because you laid the groundwork too. Laid the groundwork to show yourself that improvement quickly. Because I think if you just jump into it without a healthy diet, without paying attention to how your body's going and stuff like that, then you may not be. It's great that you saw such an improvement in such a short amount of time. But I think for women, you do have to have that foundation of a good diet and consistent exercise. Whatever you're doing, it just needs to be consistent.
I think that's the thing. I think so many women, and they're told this, right? And I'm going to go on a tangent here, right? We're told this about health. We're told this about business. We're told this about life in general. And it
Yeah.
all comes from a bro code, a masculine standpoint for the most part in just about everything. It is
Yeah.
hard to find now in the day of influencers. You have a little bit more women who are stepping out and talking about these kinds of things. So there's a little bit more feminine leadership in a lot of these areas, right? But we're told what to do from a man standpoint. Most personal trainers are men trying to help. I saw an ad the other day from some dude that said, "Women, I'm gonna help you get shredded." And I was like, "I'm sorry, what do you know about my body and how to get."
I saw something similar and I laughed out loud. I was like, "Oh, are you? Okay."
I'm sure that
And
you can.
yeah, from a open a book and study it perspective, I'm sure you can. But there's no substitute for lived experience.
Exactly.
No
We are
man.
all different. We're
Yes.
all different.
Yes.
And women are so different, right? Like,
Yeah.
don't think there's nothing what's gonna work for me isn't gonna work for you, right?
Right.
It's gonna work for me. Even if I find another woman who is 47, built like I am, the same number of kids, she's not gonna
Yeah.
have the same trauma I do in her body. She's not
Yeah.
got the same passions and desires and giftings that I do. You know what I'm saying? You have to take all this into consideration. And I think
Yeah.
the thing most women jump in and they're like, all right, it's New Year's, right? Great example. I'm going to make a New Year's resolution. I'm going to go to the gym. I'm going to start working out. I'm going to,
Yeah.
no, start doing for you what you can do. Just like Carrie and I both started out walking, right? Do what you can do, the level of which you feel good at. Then after 30 days, make a shift. After another 30 days, make another shift. Just commit to staying consistent. Be intentional and consistent. I preach it all the time, right? Just
Yeah.
to being consistent in whatever it is you're doing and don't stop because you didn't see these massive, incredible results after 30 days or whatever. It is a transformational journey. But what you have to get back to, what we all have to get back to, is paying attention to ourselves, paying
Yeah.
attention to our bodies, knowing what foods are good for us, knowing what level of exercise is good for us in what season, knowing what we can and can't do. It matters so much.
Yeah. No, one of the things I was going to go back to what you were saying about just showing up and being consistent and intentional. So I've had to do a lot of work on my mindset because over the last several years, I've realized that if I can't do something perfectly, I tend to forget it, desert it. And you and I have talked about this a lot of I need to learn how to move forward imperfectly. And in a lot of ways, I've made a lot of progress in that. The whole mom thing, the whole single mom thing, I thought, oh my gosh, I have to do this all just so perfectly so I don't screw my kids up. So I've gotten past that. If I'm just doing the best I can do today with the information that I have. And there's other things that I've come a long way with. I don't have to have all the answers. I can trust myself to move through the challenges as they come to me. And that's I'm still got a lot of work to do, but that is very much my mindset with when it came to like my diet and exercise. If I said it like you said, a New Year's Eve, because that's when we all want to set that intention, right? Is I'm going to start Monday morning, January 1st. And if I'm going to work out for an hour and I'm going to eat healthy. And if I did it great the first day, maybe the second day was great, but then the third day it went to crap, I would just be like, well, I'm done. I got tried.
Abandoning the whole
I
thing.
can't do it. I'm not going to be that girl. We always have those things in our mind that we're like, I'm not going to be that girl. I'm just not going to be the girl that's healthy or eats well or all the things, all the toxic feminine things that we get fed constantly, I would just give it up and just be like, I'm just going to go eat a box of cookies or something. But it was interesting because I've slowly worked through some of that. I still struggle with it. I think it's always going to be something in the back of my mind. And like I was telling you, yeah, I think it was yesterday, I was like, there's always just going to be that something that's going to make me not want to because it feels risky or because it feels whatever. And I think it's that perfectionism that shows up that if I can't do this perfectly, then why move forward? But, and yet here I am on a podcast, just ad hocing it. Here we are. All for growth, guys, all for growth.
Yeah, we go all in, right? Just go all in. All right. Anyway, so I will end this one there because it's been a lot, right? But
Mhm.
if you get anything out of this, I hope it is that you need to be intentional and
Yes.
we are all made differently. Pay attention to your body. Find what works for your body and do it. But start paying attention again. I know you have all the games to go to and all the summer activities and all of the mom stuff to do and the homeschool co-ops and the PTA parent room and the boss who expects you to be on call 24/7 and whatever else, right? Just figure out where you can be intentional in your life, where you can pay attention to you and know what gives you gas. Like when you eat, know what gives you gas, right? No, mushrooms will tear me up. I love some mushrooms, but they will tear me up, right?
Those are special occasion. Are not special occasion. No, but yeah. Yeah, be intentional. Just pick one little I always tell people to pick one little thing. Just pick one thing. Don't overwhelm yourself. And I do this with myself as well. What's the one thing that I know I can focus on and it will move me in a forward direction. Don't make a to-do list every single day for 7 days. That's not going to move you forward. Make a to-do list. Guilty. Make the to-do list. But then day 2 is checking something off of that to-do list and continuing to move forward. But that one little thing to move you forward, be intentional, those small little baby steps will compound over time. And if you know anything about finances and compound interest is where to go. That is where you get the momentum that you need. Motivation is a choice. Being ready is a choice. So just keep that in mind when you're tackling these things for yourself.
Woo! Amen. All right. Peace out. It's raining outside. I got to go get the dog in. See y'all.